Hi everybody, Ashley here with the Love and Light School of Energy Medicine. I recently had some requests to help everyone figure out how on earth to identify all the different black tumbled stones that you have. So I know once you go and pick them up at the store, you go to your local new age store or crystal shop and you find all these wonderful tumbled stones and you get them home and they all look the same. So how on earth do you tell them apart? Things like jet, tourmaline, hematite, onyx, obsidian, how on earth can you tell the difference? So I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks. These aren't definitive, but they're definitely helpful keys to helping you identify tumbled stones when they all are very similar color. So jet has a little bit more of a silvery black appearance instead of just a straight black crystal. It's also very lightweight because of what it's made of. So if you hold it, it's actually carbon based, so it's very, very light in comparison to other tumbled stones. So that's one way to help tell jet. It usually also has a very high polish on it, depending on where it's from. Now some jet, like Tibetan jet, can have almost like a black matte finish, and usually you don't find larger rounded tumbled stones. You find smaller, flatter pieces just because of the nature of the material and how it's found. Now other stones like black tourmaline, when it's tumbled or polished, you find that it often has these little kind of cracks or grooves or veins on the surface of the stone. And these are really the key to helping you identify tourmaline. And they often have little flecks that look a little shiny within the cracks or crevices compared to the rest of the material. Now black obsidian is another stone that's very light like jet, but it has a very glassy sheen to it because it's a natural glass. So it will usually be dark black in color and then have that nice glossy surface to it and be fairly lightweight. Whereas something like black onyx, which is often confused for black obsidian, will be almost a little waxy in its texture. Typically when it's polished, it's not as glassy and shiny as black obsidian. It has more of this waxy, slightly matted feel to it, an appearance to it. It's kind of a little bit more dull. And then there's something like Tektite, black Tektite, which is a stone that's formed from meteoritic impacts. Black Tektite is often glassy like black obsidian, but it will have large pock marks, almost like little bubbles that have popped, because as it was forming, Tektite's another form of a natural glass, those little bubbles did kind of pop, and so you're left with these little craters or grooves in the surface of the stone, and sometimes they're small and sometimes they're very large. And that leads us to our last dark colored tumbled stone, shungite. So shungite is kind of similar to jet or hematite in that it's a sort of a silvery black color, but it's very lightweight and often it's hand polished. So the surface isn't quite as smooth and rounded. It'll often be a little bit more angular in the way that it is polished. And sometimes you'll even find if the shungite's a very dark black more than a silvery black, it's a higher quality shungite, and you'll often see little bits of pyrite within that material as well. So there are just a few tips on how to help you identify lots of different tumbled black stones. I hope that you found this useful, but of course you can always go to the standard methods of identification like specific gravity, finding out the density of your crystal, also the streak and the hardness of the mineral. Until next time, crystal blessings.